sometimes on MNC as well. Accumulation of a buffy coat. Why does it happen? Why could a buffy coat accumulate? Well, why do we not want it to accumulate? No, we're losing cells. If you allow the cars to back up on the freeway, they're not making the exit ramp, right? And the exit ramp is the collect bag. All right? What we want to have happen, let me back up, maybe that would make more sense if I started the story at the beginning. As blood enters the connector, you want the buffy coat to separate and be pumped off at the same rate of speed, correct? So as the cells are separating, you want them to be pumped up into a bag so that they don't back up and end up going back to the patient. That's accumulation of a buffy coat. Typically, you will see the collection preference trend graph look like this. The green diamonds consistently, operative word, consistently track above the collection preference you've chosen. It means one of two things. Your collect pump flow rate's too slow, or your collection preference is too high. What did you typically use for a collect pump on Spectrum? Collect pump flow rate? One, the default. Okay. May I ask you to so kindly scoot my purple bag that's behind you forward? I forgot to take out one thing, a little show and tell. Oh, careful. Yeah, that's the better way to do it. Thank you. It's heavy. No, I didn't want you to hurt your back. It's a bunch of stuff in there, training materials. All right. So one of the things that you can do to avoid accumulation of a buffy coat is to use this little tool that the engineers have given us. And this tool is an optimization tool for the collect pump flow rate, all right? And it says that all of the caveats are in the back. It asks you to look at your patient's white count today, not MNC, but white count. It asks what your inlet pump flow rate will be. And it says, for example, if you've got a patient who mobilized really well and they have an 80,000 white count, and the inlet pump today, you're able to get up to 60 or 70 mils a minute, what would you do potentially with the collect pump flow rate? Increase it to 1.2 or 1.3, depending on how fast you were running. Okay?
It's just a chart.
It's a chart, and you do an x-axis and a y-axis and where they intersect.
And that's only if you just have that.
Right, that's it. And actually, no. What you should do is consult this right from the get-go. Because you know your inlet pump, you know your white count, right? Or eventually you will. And the machine will always default to 1 millimeter on the collect pump, just like Spectra did. But that may not be adequate if you all run fast and you have patients who have decent counts. That is why the engineers developed this. Now, it used to be a tool, a calculation tool on the internet. But in some instances, people didn't know about it or couldn't get to it because of where they were in a hospital and it was blocked because of firewalls. And so the engineers have now so kindly just made a laminated card. Want to see it up close and personal? And I would suggest that you just get in the habit when you're running CMNC to do, it takes all of 5 seconds to know the white count and the inlet pump and do the little connecting intersection and decide whether you're...
on the get-go.
And then change it immediately, right? Because if you have a buffy coat to support that higher collect pump flow rate, use it, right? It means higher yield if you're paying attention to this. If it's something you choose not to use, that is certainly your call too. They need a minimum volume, so you have to crank up the collect pump flow rate whether it's needed or not. Yeah, and that's not uncommon. You got to do what you got to do to get not only the cells in the bag, but the volume for that requirement. And the same with dendrion. There's a volume requirement, but using a 1 millimeter collect pump flow rate for dendrion and Optia has worked beautifully well. It's always gotten their minimum volume, as long as you can complete the rest. All right, you collected dendrion in the ARC, right? I didn't even know there was an ARC in it. Shame on me. That's what I get for living in every other state except my own. I'm on the road. All right, so that's accumulation of a buffy coat. when there are options listed on the troubleshooting, we would really like for you to try the top one first. That's why they're listed in this order, okay? Unless, of course, your collection preference, you're not happy with the color, then of course you would change that, but always go top to bottom, all right? Accumulation of a buff. Here's the other one. The contents in your collect might look too light. What are you gonna do?
Up the plasma.
Up the plasma?
Collection preference.
If it's too light, this is looking too light, what are you gonna do?
Lower.
Decrease the CP, decrease the collection preference, exactly. And if you have lowered the collect pump flow rate below 1, then it's suggesting that you let it reset to the default. But typically this is your problem right here, right? The CP was just too high. Next one is the reverse collection line. The collect port, the collect line looks too dark. What are you gonna do? Increasing. Very good. Simple as that. My favorite one, clumping. These are the exact same images that came out of your MNC training workbook. This should not look mysterious to you. There are 2 places there can be clumping. What are they?
Collection port.
The collect port and or the interface. Okay. So let's look at the interface first, because that one is sometimes a little more difficult to assess. And I've got a nice laptop picture that I'm going to be pulling up. I'm going to try to pull it up at the same time I'm talking. I doubt I can do that. I don't multitask like that very well. But you can see interface. So here's your collect port. Here's that black backwards L that I pointed out in the filler. Okay. This is where Optia is locking onto the collect port image to show you the concentration of cells coming up the collect port. What should the interface look like? Smooth as glass. The interface, not the collect port. The interface. It should be as smooth as glass. I have said that over and over until I'm sick of hearing myself say it. But it's got to be smooth. If you're not used to putting your head in the hole, the viewport, to look at an interface, please start now. Right? It has got to be as smooth as glass. Are these as smooth as glass? No, and we're looking to the left of the collect port. That is where you assess interface. The quality of the interface. That is bumpy, raggedy, jagged, both of them. Those are platelet clumps sitting on your interface. Very easy to see. I will show you an actual one, the only one I've seen, from Seattle Cancer Care. Optia photo, I swear. Now the connector is going to look really different to you. See how brown and dirty the plasma looks? What is that? What's in the plasma? 4.5 packing factor. What's sitting in the plasma? Platelets. Platelets. Those are the platelets. That's what that's going to look like. Do you see the red cell layer? Do you see those bumps on it?
Yeah.
That's clumping on the interface. The red cells? TPE does that when it returns platelets to the patient. But we accumulate the buffy coat on TPE and return it, right? Here, we're constantly allowing the platelets to float, suspend in the plasma. But that is a clumped red cell layer here. See it? See the little bumps on the red cell layer? Here's your collect port. You see cells moving through it, but that interface is definitely clumped. And then the other thing that can clump is the collect port. And this looks exactly the same as it does for MNC. Here's your collect port, top and bottom. What's going on here? Anything going through the port? No. So it's probably got a clump. Anything clear, yeah.
And on the picture, it was
clear as well.
It was
Didn't see a thing.
no moving picture.
No moving picture. And you may see no moving picture. The other thing that you might see are what I call chunky monkeys. The images get real chunky as opposed to free flowing, constantly changing 50 shades of gray.
So the lowest AC ratio is still 8:1.
Right. If you've got clumping, what we're suggesting is that you go straight to 8. Because you've got.
Too many other like.
Well, you had a severe. You got a clot probably.
Yeah,
not a clump.
but it was then we
Yeah.
removed
So the reason we go 8 to 1 is because it provides a higher concentration of citrate, of course, in your circuit. Leave it there until the pumping resolves and then work your way back up. We do not suggest that you go from 8 back to whatever you were running immediately. That's a surefire way to end up back at 80. Okay? All right. That's the basics
Yeah.
in a nutshell. And I ended 15 minutes.